Hey guys, welcome back to the Linux Tube. We do definitely appreciate it every time you click on one of our videos. It makes it where we can continue to do this and be able to spread the knowledge of Linux out to other people. So if you guys wouldn't mind, if you'll go ahead and hit the comment, like, and subscribe, that definitely makes it where the algorithm can see us and it makes it where more people have access to our content. If you guys also wouldn't mind, if you'll go ahead and hit the share, it makes it where more people see the content and makes it where more people can get the knowledge and understand what Linux is all about. If you guys also wouldn't mind, if you'll just stick around with me, we'll go ahead and get on with the video. To begin with, if you'll go ahead and look here, we're actually on what's a very atypical website to download the ISO image. So Fedora Linux, right, that typically has a gorgeous design and it looks amazing on their website. But since we're looking at something called Fedora Rawhide today, it doesn't get all the extra glory and amazingness in terms of design. And the reason why, because Rawhide is essentially the alpha branch of Fedora. I must have just missed it. Let's see. Oh, I glanced right over it. It's right here. So we'll double click the ISO image. And then we will go ahead and type in Fedora for the option. And it'll pop up right here with Rawhide. So they make it where the reason why you have to specify this is because there are some differences between your standard version of Fedora versus what you're doing right now. So keep that in mind. So we'll go ahead and hit next. And we'll go ahead and assign it the amount of memory. So this is the amount of RAM you're going to give it. You never want to do more than 50% of what you currently have on your system. And that's really pushing it. For me, I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm going to give it 24. That's more than enough. There's no reason why that would be a problem. So if I were to go here and give it an amount of storage, if we're being practical, I wouldn't really give it more than 50. Because if you're not going to be hanging out in this environment as much, you're not going to typically just want to stick around in here too much, right? If this is just, oh, I want to see what it is, yeah, there's no reason to give it too much. And honestly, 50 gigabytes might even be pushing it in terms of the amount. That's kind of a lot. So a lot of people will do 20 or 30, 40 gigs and not even go that much. So if you're going to be doing this, I recommend you enable the EFI. The reason why most modern operating systems are using EFI, or at least they have to use EFI. And with Linux, yes, you can do it on legacy hardware. But again, you're in a VM. Why not use the latest and greatest technologies? It just makes sense. So we'll go ahead and hit create. Let it do its thing. Create it real quick. And here in just a second, we're going to see it boot up. So what's a little bit scary sometimes with Fedora Rawhide is that we're going to see here that there are some differences, meaning something new. We're also going to see some instability likely because it is Fedora Rawhide. Fedora Rawhide, like I said, is not just alpha, but it's so new in terms of technologies that some things may be broken. So we have to keep that in mind whenever we're giving it a judgment or if we're reviewing it per se. Today we're not reviewing it, but we are going to just give more of an impressions and understanding of what it's like. So to begin with, it's booting up. It's using Tiano Core just like any other VM would for GNOME boxes. So we'll give it just a second. And whenever it boots up, I'll get back with you guys. Okay. As we are back, you probably saw just a second ago that it actually flickered a little bit. That's because it automatically does the scaling in GNOME boxes. That's a lot of the reason why I like to use it. So if we go here, right, it's loading up the Anaconda installer. So we'll go ahead and that's the name of this installer. We'll go ahead and make sure our proper language is selected, which is English in the United States. That's where I'm at. We'll hit next. We'll go ahead and make sure it's the same here for our keyboard layout. If you're on a Mac, you're going to want to go find Macintosh, just so you know now. If you'll go ahead and hit next, you're going to want to go ahead and choose between these. So the installer image we're in right now is considered a live image. So it actually makes it where you can experience Fedora Rawhide in this case without installing it. There are a few limitations, so you only get so much storage on the live image. Keep that in mind. Nothing's going to save whenever you close out of it. So I just recommend that you go ahead and install it if you want to truly experience it inside of this virtual machine. But keep in mind, If you are doing this on hardware, if you're doing this on hardware, make sure you go ahead and back up your data so that you can have it for whenever you reinstall this. Um, so you'll go ahead and hit install to disk, and we'll give it just a second. Typically on Fedora, on this type of thing, it doesn't hang like this. But like I mentioned, this is early release stuff. So we're actually getting into the new version of the Anaconda installer. So on the earlier versions of Fedora, it did not look like this. This is brand new. It's absolutely phenomenal. It works really well. The only thing to consider is that you're actually going to have to choose between these. In this case, we're using a vdisk, right? So we're using a virtual disk. So it's not going to be able to find mount points or anything necessarily in the way that it wants to. So we're not going to have this option. If you are on hardware, this will be an option. If you don't know what you're doing and you're doing it on like an interesting piece of hardware like a MacBook or something, this is actually an option you'll need to use. If you're doing this on just a standard old PC, go ahead and just hit erase disk and install, and we'll go ahead and just hit next. So that's the correct disk. I will hit next. Now here's an option for encryption. So if you're somebody that's paranoid about whether people are going to see your data or not, go ahead and use this. I understand. I'm not going to judge. Some people just like this. I don't have a need for encryption typically because my threat model is not that high, right? So I'm just not going to bother with it this time. And plus I'm using a VM, so it's not a big deal. I will go ahead and hit next. Next, I will go ahead and review this. So we're going to see that it's installing Fedora 41. This is doing Rawhide, right? It's pre-release. It has the proper language. There is no account. Let's go make sure if there was an option to set up an account. There is not yet. Okay. I'm going to make sure. We're going to do installation type, erase disk and install. Disk encryption, we're not using it. And then the storage size. So we're going to go ahead and hit erase disk and install. On this portion, I'm just going to go ahead and let it run. I will speed it up after the fact in Kdenlive, and you will go ahead and see how long this takes to install, and I will make sure to put in how much I've sped it up by, like 200% or whatever it may be. Okay, as we have hit the end of the installation, you probably saw that didn't take honestly that long, and considering this is a pre-release or alpha version, that was really quick. So we'll go ahead and see here. There's something a little bit unique about this installer. I looked at it a little bit earlier. So this is not the first time I've seen this. But they want you to give feedback on your installation. I don't think I've seen this before. I find this I understand why they want the feedback, right? It helps them continue to improve their product. But at the same time, it seems kind of funny. To be honest, it's a little silly to some extent as far as I'm concerned. Because why would they put it here and not just have it where they've always had it? Maybe they're just not getting the amount of people they want to do it. So I don't really know, but it's here if you want to use it. They even offer a QR code if you want to use your phone. So we are going to go ahead and restart the virtual machine by hitting quit. I really, really, really appreciate that they now make it where it automatically restarts. In the past, for Fedora, you always had to manually restart your machine. Never made any sense whatsoever, but you just saw I hit the quit and now it restarted. So I'm going to go ahead and select it here. If you're on hardware, you're not going to have to obviously do this. It'll just automatically reboot for you. But if you'll go ahead and watch as this reboots, it's not going to take very long. And I just have to comment and note how amazing it is that they are offering the option to have it restart on its own. That's phenomenal. It's something that I just can't get over. It's because it should have been there so long ago, but now they've finally done it. So I'm looking here, and I'm seeing it says welcome to Fedora Linux 41. This is probably just going to be the standard, typical go in and set up your user and whatnot. We can offer location services. I don't mind doing it because I am using this for free, right? And this is a pre-release version of software. So it's whatever they're going to be taking information like automatic problem reporting. I'm going to leave that on because if I run into an issue, I want them to be able to fix it. I want them to be able to get the information they need to make it where they can make this a stable release candidate at some point. And then we'll go ahead and go to the next. And we'll go ahead and type in my city for my time zone. I'm not in Chicago, but I do use the Chicago time zone for my networking. So I will go ahead and select that and then hit next. You're going to want to turn these on. So these are the non-free repos, which means some of the applications and whatnot in these repositories are not open source, or they're not free, them respecting as in freedom. So you're going to want to turn them on because of a couple of different reasons. Some hardware for Wi-Fi chips just doesn't work without certain drivers, right? And those specifically are not open source, so they couldn't have been put in the kernel. There's other things like Discord. If you use that, you can go use this to go get it. So there's so much more. The thing is, you're going to want to turn this on. You really, really will. Because it's going to make your life a lot easier. And there is another option. If you don't want to use this, you can always use Flatpaks for some stuff. But on the hardware level, Flatpaks can't help and solve your problem, unfortunately. So we'll go ahead and hit next. I'm going to go ahead and log in. I'm going to put in Sprungles as my full name, my username. I'm going to take a look at some of these options for the icons. So we'll see here. Oh, this was kind of cool. I also really like this book. And a keyboard. I don't know if I love that one. But there's a little coffee right here. That's pretty cute. Airplane wing. I think I'm going to go with this one right here. We're going to go ahead and hit next. Oh, before I do that, I want to note this can be used in an enterprise environment. They have an enterprise login. It's probably where you can make accounts on a LAN and allows you to log in with that. We'll go ahead and hit next. We'll go ahead and type in a very super secret password that is 100% not just 1234, and we'll go ahead and hit next. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and hit start using Fedora Linux. It'll take just a second. You will see the GNOME icon over here pop up, and we'll go ahead and see if anything's changed in the GNOME wizard. So this is actually not unique to Fedora. GNOME makes this little wizard so people can learn how to use GNOME. So we hit start the tour. Okay, cool. Introduction. So get an overview. Alright. We can type to search, which will be up here. You'll see in just a moment. there will be keep on top with workspaces. Workspaces I love. It makes it where you don't actually have to have multiple monitors, because you basically have virtual monitors essentially. And then we'll go ahead and hit up and down for overview. This is if you're on a laptop. It's like Mac OS-esque kind of gestures to some extent. And we'll hit next. Left and right for workspaces, what I was just talking about a second ago, the virtual monitors. Go ahead and hit next. And that's it. Okay, have a nice day. Cool. So if you go over to the little bar right here, you see here we have our search bar. I can type in whatever and it'll pop up. So let's say I wanted to type in calendar, right? Which we know is down on the bottom, but it also pops up right here. This is our search menu. So it makes it where it's very easy, very convenient. There are also, we'll see if I can find the workspaces. So we'll have to configure it in the settings first. If you want to use it, we hit multitasking. Let's see. Here we are. We can have a dynamic or fixed number of workspaces. So I typically use fixed because I know what type of workflow I use. So I use GIMP in one, I usually use Discord in another, and I'll use Telegram in another. And then whenever I'm needing to switch, I can use a key binding and make that really fast. So I usually use 4, like I said. Some people use a million of them. I mean, it's just whatever works best for you. So we'll go ahead and go here, and you'll see now those workspaces are actually showing up right here. If I select them, you'll see that you can go to each of them. So we'll go ahead and go down to what we have in our app drawer. This is a new application for GNOME, so GNOME Camera. It used to be Cheese. We will deny access because we are in a VM, and I'm also using my camera to talk to you right now. So this will just basically make it where you can take pictures or whatnot. It's great. The new application is phenomenal. I've used it a couple of times. There is a flatback if you prefer to use flatbacks of it. You can also go here and look and see there's other applications such as weather. This is pretty great. I actually really like the GNOME Weather app. And we'll see my location, which is in Stillwater. But we'll also see that we have different right here, right? Like we'll see here that it's 44 degrees. Or, yep. And then there's a 45 high today. Okay, but it looks really nice. It's really solid. We'll go ahead and go to clocks. Let's see if anything's changed. No, it's just a GTK4 clock app. Okay, no big deal. We'll go ahead and see if anything else here is notable. We'll go to the Fedora Media Writer. This is a really solid application. So let's say you mess up your system and you just need to completely start from scratch. You can download the ISO of whichever version of Fedora you want to automatically here, or you can select the ISO manually. So you'll go ahead and choose your thumb drive right here, and then the next, and you'll select the ISO image from wherever you have it on your disk. Okay, that's pretty simple. It's pretty easy to use, and it's quite a good product, honestly. That the fact that they use it. Something I do note, and I find a little bit funny, is you'll look here and you see there are some of the LibreOffice suite. They don't improve, or they do not include all of the LibreOffice suite. That's probably for the better, because this is kind of a large project. But okay, I guess we have our spreadsheets reader, or spreadsheets application here. We have our presentation, kind of like Microsoft PowerPoint. We have Writer, which is a lot like Microsoft Word. Let me go ahead and open this for you and show you. So this is a little tip here. We'll go ahead and go to View, User Interface, hit Tab if you want like a Microsoft Office type interface. See how much easier that is to use if you're used to that. So that's what I always do whenever I want on a new system. Next, we'll go ahead and go to Settings, and we will drop down to the system. This is something a little bit different. There used to be an About tab here. Now it's just under System, and they moved all that stuff into here. We'll go ahead and hit About. There's our hardware model, because we're in a VM, makes sense. Then we have our version. We'll have our processor. Then we have our memory allotment. We have our disk capacity as well. Now, they make it very simple to update. So you hit Software and Update. it'll take you to the App Store. And you can update here. I'm not going to bother with it because we are just in a VM right now. But if you're going to use this day to day, go ahead and update. Make sure to keep up on updates. It's not that like you're probably going to get hurt or anything by not, but it's better in the long term for you. So we'll go ahead and close that out. We'll go ahead and go up to one of my favorite parts of it, appearance. So I always go with the dark mode. This probably just saved all of your guys' eyeballs, which you're welcome. And you can go down and we will see the different options for wallpapers. Ooh, some of these are really, really nice. I really like this wallpaper. There's also this one. Ooh, wow, whoever decided on wallpapers this time around, please keep them on the project. These are gorgeous. Ooh, I love these. These are great. What's this one? Let's see. Oh wow. I'm gonna leave it on this one. I really like the colors between purple and blue. It's really gorgeous. So we'll go ahead and look at the power settings. If you're on a higher end machine, which has a performance profile, you'll have it up here as well. It'll be 3 columns or 3 lines instead of 2. You will also see under displays, they are offering, depending on your display, the option to have fractional scaling now. This is really important, in my personal opinion, because this was not offered before, and some monitors just have unique aspect ratios, like 16:10 monitors. I have learned in my experience, if you use a 16:10 monitor or display on a laptop, you want fractional scaling because it just looks odd if you don't. Or it's really large if you use high DPI options. High DPI is basically just everything's larger if you're not aware of what that is. So if we'll go ahead and see if there's anything else in here that I want to talk about. If you're using a wireless mouse, go in here and configure it. I have noticed the default setting is honestly a little bit slow. So like I would probably do more like this. It's a little bit more comfortable for me. And then if you want to use the alternative way of scrolling, I don't like it. It feels weird. I haven't adjusted to it. I don't think I ever will. I'm not going to use this. And then if you want to go here, you can go to keyboard. You can add shortcuts like I was talking about earlier, where you can add key bindings. You actually just go in here, hit custom shortcuts, and you add a shortcut. That's how you add your key bindings. So we'll go ahead and go here, go back to our app drawer, and we will see that there's not a whole lot here. We only have 1 page of applications. So there is that. We're going to go and open up the terminal, which is GNOME Terminal, not GNOME Console. Notice that. Let's see. We're on version 3.5.1 for GNOME 45. Okay. So let's go ahead and see if Flatpak's installed by default. Flatpak. I'm just going to run Flatpak list or ls. Okay. Flatpak install. Let's see an application. I'll do Firefox for the heck of it. We'll do. Yep. So Flatpak is installed and configured out of the box. That's really nice. So for those of you who don't want to have to do that, it's great. It's there. Some people also just like the fact that it's a universal package format. So that is an option. Alright, that pretty much sums up our general overview of Fedora Rawhide. So to begin with, just note that don't use this as your daily driver if you have the option. At least not right now. It's running fine for now, but I will note it's not going to be running this well for very long. It'll probably be about a week, and you'll start getting updates, and you will start realizing things will start breaking, and that's just part of the experience. But I'm only saying that to those of you out there who are new to this. Don't use it on your main machine. But if you want to go ahead and keep track of what's new and what's coming to Fedora, go ahead and just run this in a VM and check in on it every couple of days and update. If you ever want to update, all you have to do is you type, go into terminal, you go sudo dnf update. And then you type in your super secret password. And you let it do its thing just like this. So if you see here, right, you are using different repositories than the typical Fedora ISO is. There's nothing wrong with that. Something I've never once in my life understood is why do we have an entire repository for Google Chrome? Okay, interesting, right? We don't have any updates right now because I grabbed the latest one. But yeah, for sure, this is a great project to watch if you're just wanting to know what's happening in the land of Fedora. It's absolutely phenomenal. And now we're going to go ahead and close this down. And I'm going to go ahead and take you to the wrap up of this video. Alright, that's our look at Fedora Rawhide. It's not a review. This is more of just an initial impressions. So, Fedora Rawhide is absolutely phenomenal for what it is as a product. Again, I really cannot stress that you probably shouldn't use this on your main machine if it's a production environment. But again, run it in a VM. It's phenomenal. You're going to see a lot of the latest applications. You're going to see a lot of the latest updates and see what they're working on. I really like the product, and I'm going to continue to look at it. Who knows, I might even break my own rule and install it one of these days, just so I can